Good day, this is Teacher Cyrus, and let's start our discussion. Number 1, in research, which variable do you manipulate? A. Moderator, B. Independent, C. Dependent, or D. Extraneous? Let's discuss first. If we'll say moderator, it is used to strengthen, diminish, negate, or otherwise alter the association between independent and dependent variable. If we'll say the independent variable, it stands alone and isn't changed by the other variables you're trying to measure. If we'll say dependent, it is a variable that changes as a result of independent variable manipulation. And lastly, extraneous, it is unintentionally studying in your experiment or test. The correct answer is letter B, independent variable. So because ang independent variable kasi ang nagmamanipulate ng dependent variable for it to be changed. So that's why independent variable is the correct answer. Number 2, which is a short 100 to 500 word summary of the entire research paper that includes goals and objectives, results, and conclusions. A. Abstract. B. Synopsis. C. Conclusion. D. Précis. Let's discuss first. If we'll say abstract, so it is a summary of your research paper. If we'll say synopsis naman, it is a plan for your research projects, and this provides rationale, objectives, methods, and recording formats, and interview guides of your research. If we'll say conclusion naman, it helps the reader why your research matters to them. And also, if we will say précis, it is an academic summary of a literary work, analyzing and extracting main points so as to assemble summary. Wala na sa letter B at saka C ang answer kasi ang tinatanong dito, it is a short summary. So that's why nasa kay abstract at précis na lang ang sagot. Let's further discuss about the difference between abstract and précis. If we'll say abstract kasi, it gives readers enough information to decide if it is going to be worth reading for their purpose. If we'll say précis naman, it is related to precise. It gives only the main idea of passage. So kapag ang abstract, it talks about summary. But if we will say précis, so dapat ang lahat ng importanteng information sa iyong research ay dapat nakasali doon. Précis, it can be a summary but hindi natin masasabi na it is a short because of nakadepende yan. So ano ang mga important information or details na nasa research mo. Letter A is the correct answer. Number 3, which of the following can become an issue of qualitative research? A. By the book approach. B. Formulation of research design and data collection techniques. C. Generality. Or letter D. Gathering data that are based on facts. The correct answer is letter C, generality. So, based on opinions and insights of the person na inyong sinorvey. So, that's why generality is the correct answer because it can be manipulated. Number 4, which is arrive at by way of a thinking process that puts together several parts to form a complex whole. A. Meaning. B. Relationship. C. Synthesis. D. Deduction. So, the correct answer for this is synthesis. So, sinabi dito is thinking process and puts together. So, alam naman natin ang meaning ng synthesis that it is a combination of ideas to form a theory or system. So, that's why letter C is the correct answer. Number 5, there is need to adapt blank sampling for research on academic problems encountered by indigenous children in a school. A. Stratified. B. Purposive. C. Random. D. Trend. If we will say stratified sampling, so it is a total population is divided into smaller groups or also known as strata to complete the sampling process. So meaning, ang stratified is hinati yung population ng iyong sinorvey so based on their answers. So if we will say purposive sampling, it is a non-probability sampling. They're selected because they have characteristics that you need in your sample. So for example, your research is all about basketball. So syempre, pipiliin mo lang sa survey is yung basketball players. So letter C is random sampling. So it is a technique in which each sample has an equal probability of being chosen. So it is meant to be an unbiased representation of the total population. For example, you have 500 respondents. So, syempre, hinati mo yung respondents. So, 250 of them is male and another 250 is female. So, that is random sampling. If we'll say trend sampling naman, it used to maximize performance when retrieving data specifically for plotting. So, the correct answer for this is letter B, purposive. So, because it talks about academic problems. So, syempre, yung estudyante ang tatanungin mo. So, because it talks about academic problems. So, students or teachers. So, that's why letter B is the correct answer. Number 6, the appropriate participant in a research on needed outreach activities which the school can engage is the blank. A, teacher, B, student, C, community, or letter D, parent. Siyempre, halatang-halata na the correct answer is letter C, community. So, because teachers, students, and parents are part of the school. So, as teacher and student, so syempre nandun sila sa paaralan, and parents also is part of it because of merong PTA na tinatawag. So from the word itself, outreach activity. So meaning lalabas sila ng para. Number 7, which data do anthropologists use in a descriptive inquiry on the cultural life of an ethnic community through data drawn from myths, stories, songs, and experiences gathered through field study? A, an obstructive, B, quantitative, C, documentary, D, qualitative. If we'll say an obtrusive sampling or research, it is a method of studying social behavior without affecting it. So the best example for this is analyzing the film. So meaning an obtrusive is based on your insights or your analyzation about a certain event. If we'll say quantitative naman, it is a process of collecting and analyzing numerical data. So syempre, from the word itself, quanti, so it talks about numbers. If we'll say documentary, it is conducted to assess a set of um, documents from historical and social value. If we'll say qualitative naman, it is collecting value through analyzing non-numerical data to understand concepts, opinions, and experiences. So meaning, kapag titimbangin natin ang apat na choices, so the correct answer for that is qualitative. Kasi collecting numerical data, especially sa mga taong nakatira sa certain community, so mas alam nila ang kanilang kultura. So that's why qualitative is the correct answer. Number 8, applying the conflict theory, what element induced Hispanic authorities during the colonial period not to teach native Filipinos the Spanish language? A, need to secure the dominant status of Spaniards over natives. B, lack of adequate funding to support Spanish instruction. C, natives were already pacified even without teaching them the language. Or letter D, friars want evangelical teaching, not language teaching. The correct answer for this is letter A, need to secure the dominant status of Spaniards over natives. So alam naman natin is we used conflict theory. So syempre B, C, and D, wala namang conflict doon. Number 9, you will study within the population issue of corruption of public officials under the different regimes. Which study will you engage in? A, cross-sectional, B, trend, C, cohort, D, longitudinal. If we will say cross-sectional, so the researcher measures the outcome and the exposures in the study participants at the same time. If we'll say trend studies naman, it is a data collected at periodic intervals or sample drawn from a particular population and are used to several trends over time. If we'll say cohort studies naman, it is used to study incidents, causes, and prognosis. This measures events in chronological order to distinguish between cause and effect. The correct answer for this is trend study. So kasi if we will say trend study is merong chronological orders or merong sinasabing periodic interval. So based on what is trend during the 30 years. Last number, you want to examine specific subpopulations, which are those who played a part in the EDSA evolution with focus on how their attitudes have changed. Which study will you do? A. Longitudinal, B. Trend, C. Cohort, D. Cross-sections. So as we discussed on number 9, so based on choices, so the correct answer for this is cohort study. Because if we'll, ang tanong kasi dito, it talks about the attitudes on how attitudes have changed. So based sa mga taong na-experience ang EDSA revolution. So that's why cohort study is the best answer for this because studies about incidents, causes, and prognosis. So that's why it is the best answer. So I do hope that you learned something about our videos. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and also share this to your friends, especially to those taking the board exam. And also, thanks for watching. God bless us all.